Action!
The Flood is a 1940s, just post-World War II, feminist revenge, redemption, revenge, redemption, redemption story. And it follows a woman of colour whose name is Jarrah. She's married to a First Nations man. They have a daughter, and it takes place in a remote part of Australia, which is, I guess, still kind of lawless at that time.
A woman main character, which is not very common still. 2020, people, come on, like honestly. There is a journey of her being as a mother, sort of going through ups and downs, as a wife, as a woman in that period of time as well. So there's so many different layers to this.
I've taken a lot of elements from our nation's history that happen to a wide range of people and sort of funneled it down into this family so that we see a broad range of Australia's history played out in this little microcosm. I'm most interested in contemporising the stories and seeing First Nations people actually come out on top. I feel that so often in Australian cinema, First Nations people have not been the heroes, the heroic component of stories. And so I wanted to work with our First Nations partners in this to create a story where the First Nations women of colour are the heroes and the story rests on them and travels through them.
When I first read the script, it just got under my skin. I knew the story that needed to be told, and it captivated me from the first page to the very end. I didn't foresee where things were going, but I realised it was a true reflection of what, I guess, the history of Australia and putting it into a contemporary setting.
It sort of brought me back to stories that I'd been told as a young fella, or stories that I learnt about as I grew up and got older that I sort of missed in the school curriculum because those stories weren't in the school curriculum.
This film wanted to be made. It was like a locomotion that just came barreling through our lives. Army and I were actually in a Flickerfest lab with some feature filmmakers talking about making feature films, and we just looked at each other and we went, you know what? We can do this. Let's just do it. Let's make it happen. A year and a month later, we were shooting The Flood. It was very important to us from the get-go that we worked really strongly and collaboratively with First Nations people. This is a story about the history of Australia. It is a story that is our collective story, but those components, those First Nation components, really need to resonate with the voice of our Indigenous people. We worked with the Guntawang Female Elders Artisan Collective right back at the beginning with the script. The Guntawang is comprised of a large number of female elders from different nations, so we were able to get a very broad perspective on the story we were telling and the characters.
Army and Victoria run into Wendy, our president. Then a couple of months later she spoke to us about filming The Flood. She brought in the script, and for me, I instantly gravitated to it. It hooked me, and next thing you know, I'm reading 3 different scripts. I've been down here for 5 weeks. It's an amazing story. It needs to be told. You know, I was born in '62, wasn't really aware of what had happened back then. So this has like really opened up my eyes as well.
They just wanted to be involved. They wanted to make it happen because it's time for a film like this in Australia. And so it was more a case of, can we stop it? Rather than how can we make it happen? I feel like the forces of the universe want this story out in our nation.
One of the key features in the film is that we have two of our creative producers, Justin Brown McLeod and Poppy Mack. And they were instrumental in making the film. Like, they were the backbone of this film from start to finish. They were there helping us out throughout all the really tricky areas around cultural sensitivity and awareness. And they guided me through some very challenging moments in the film.
I first got involved in this picture when I spoke to Victoria, the director, and had coffee, and she asked me what I thought about a movie over in Kangaroo Valley. I said, fantastic. The Butterwangs is called, all this country. The movie is very daunting. There's aspects in it that a lot of the cast and crew can't handle. So I've been working alongside of other members of the film and doing a bit of cultural input to try and soften the blow of the movie, what it's about. And I try to make sure that there's no blame in this. It's just portraying a story which happened in the past.
We worked together to tell this story, so it really feels to me that it is our collective story, and you know that collaboration we shared is why.
Obviously the film itself we shot for 5 weeks, and we will make an independent production as well, so every day has its challenges. The environment threw everything at us, and we were able to bounce back, and we were constantly on schedule, and we were getting exceptional quality on the rushes. I think that actually shines, and you think, well, it's fantastic, and everyone was there for the same reason.
There's been an awful lot of one-shots, so a lot of scenes there's no coverage on at all, which hasn't pleased the editor, but we figured that was the way to go.
Well, I mean, it lends itself to this movie. I mean, all the takes in this movie, well, not all the takes, but a lot of the scenes we're doing in one shot. So Steadicam is working really well as a tool to achieve that. But, you know, sometimes the longer takes are a little difficult on the old body. But it's not too bad.
Coming from theatre background, and it's sort of familiar in just going one place, but there's not a lot of dialogue in it. A lot of it relies on your emotional connection, your connection to other people, and a lot of it's done with looks and feelings and unspoken communication. I think that's the big challenge, is making a connection with who you're working with.
I think the most challenging thing would be getting the emotional journey right for my character, you know. Especially since we're not shooting chronologically, so we're just trying to make sure that I'm hitting the right emotions at the right point and, you know, not going over the top. I think that's the most challenging part, but it's what you do as an actor, you know. You work through your emotional journey, your character's emotional journey.
We wanted to get in close to people on the wide lenses so we could feel the emotion that they're feeling, see the countryside as well. So we decided to shoot with vintage lenses. We had a look at a few, but we settled on the Leica R's. In this particular set, well, 3 of them are 1978 and 3 of them are 1982. They're basically rehoused old optics, which just look beautiful.
The landscape and the aesthetic of the film and where it was shot in Kangaroo Valley immensely affected the way that I wrote and felt for the film. The film is such a beautiful document of the country down there. So it definitely influenced the way that I thought and the space that I wanted to use in the music.
We were filming in incredible locations that actually really bring a lot of flavour and creativity to the story.
Kangaroo Valley is also in a valley, so it's really difficult for communications. There's no mobile reception at many of the sets that we're shooting on, so decisions take a lot longer to make. The story is the main thing for every film. This film happens to have children, a lot of horses, other animals, remote location, weapons on set as well.
Just because of the remote locality of a lot of the sets, we're using mostly four-wheel drives. We have had a fair bit of heavy rain over the last couple of weeks, which has washed out a lot of the tracks, which is unfortunate, but everyone's gripping up pretty well, and we've managed to get everyone in and out of every location we've had so far, so it's been good.
Which is actually a miracle that films get made, and I think when you're creating a believable alternate reality, that is hard. It's hard to make a believable alternate world. So every second has challenges, but we had a lot of challenges because we were working predominantly outdoors. I think 90% of the film is shot in the most incredible Australian bush and subtropical rainforest and river settings that were quite remote and difficult to get to, so they're their own challenges. But turning up to shoot the big shootout in this on top of the world sort of setting on this crown ringed by escarpments, well above the fog line, never get fog there. We shot for 2 days, turn up on the third day, can't see 10 feet in front of you. The fog is that thick. And it wasn't going anywhere.
We're shooting this whole scene over 2 days, so it was a bit of an interesting scenario when you got sun in the afternoon and fog in the morning.
There are several worlds in this film that sort of meet, and one of those worlds is the spirit world. And how that is represented and how we could work that through in the film, I wasn't even really quite sure how it was going to happen. I just knew it would happen, it would emerge through the process of making the film with the actors when we were in situ, when we were sort of going. And the moment I saw that fog, I just knew this is our spirit world. So it was all systems go, let's shoot this here, that here, this here. And we got a whole lot of footage in this totally fogged out but other world.
Oh, they just took advantage of this fog, bro, and the sunlight. So it's just a dream sequence for the film. They don't know where they're going to put it, but if they like it, they'll put it somewhere for Worrell's emotional journey, so pretty dope.
In the editing process, we could drop in and out throughout the whole film. So we were able to create this merging of worlds and this blending of worlds. Now, you might have looked at that. I know poor long-suffering first AD was looking at it going, oh my God, this is disastrous. But no, it wasn't. It was the greatest gift, and we embraced that and ran with that. I think when you work in harmony with nature, and you have to trust that process, and when you do trust it, you probably do look a bit crazy, but it worked out.
How cool is that though? Just taking advantage of something natural like that, just because we can. It's awesome.
But it doesn't make it easy when you're coming back to try and shoot part of the same scene in the afternoon in full sun. But yeah, we've coped all right, I think. We've made the most of it.
So we're calling it a stylised period piece. So set in the 40s during World War II, we sort of had a week to gather everything and then a week to fit everyone, and we've done a hell of a lot of altering. So it's all tailored to the actors.
I guess 1940s outback Australia here is absolutely so easy to style for myself. Women probably didn't bathe maybe once a fortnight, very unstructured, very wild.
So the song was written specifically for the film by Petra?
The Old Gum Tree song I wrote very early before the film was shot. I actually looked at a lot of old Celtic songs, like sort of the thread of colonialism comes into the music in that song for the gang.
Okay, so today we're actually filming in the hut scene, which is like pretty intense scene. It's pretty cool today. We've had some stunts going on. We did our own stunts, some slide tackles and some gun firing. A lot of people are dying.
So it was pretty good to be able to do a 360. Don't often get to do them, but yeah, spinning around the two main characters as they come out of the stockman's hut was pretty cool. Spin right round them on a steady cam as they're shooting. Slow motion, people shooting, people dying. It's all good fun.
We had a vehicle with a Gerald character driving around, basically intimidating the actors that were hiding in the hut. Obviously, you could see inside the hut was where all the bullet holes were coming through the walls, and the two leads were sheltering.
There's something particularly beautiful in this valley. Really echoes. That's why you need these. Otherwise, it's very hard to hear what's going on.
I'm playing two characters. It's quite easy with the skills of these people here and wardrobe. As soon as I am wearing the makeup and the outfit of each character, I instantly feel different. Patrick is kind of a younger version of me in a way, where I was quite passive and subservient and weak. And Seamus is like me now, a hero. Paddy's being somewhat of a coward, I guess. Not much else. A lot of one-eye acting. Subtlety.
I'm Pamela Bradfield, and this is...
Police Constable Neil. I'm the only cop in town.
It's not a very good one.
Well, it's a matter of opinion.
He closes his eyes to everything going on around him.
No. I'm the only person in the town who is upholding any semblance of order.
You're not doing that.
I am.
No, because
and
this
it's
guy's
you
running it all.
guys, you people keep ruining things, keep murdering.
We want you to do the right thing.
The start of the film is a very peaceful town run by a very justified, righteous man, and then everything goes wrong and he has to fix it. And here I am trying to fix it. We're trying to shoot out with the villains.
We could not have made this film without the Kangaroo Valley community. Notoriously available to step up and support any worthy cause. From Deb at Kangaroo Valley Horses, Riverstone, providing the most incredible locations, the most beautiful horses who are really the stars of the show. Extras, choir singers, just unbelievable amount of support from the community. So it's a real community project, and again I think that all leads into this sense that this is a film about our nation. It's a collective film, and it's stamped in every way, in every aspect of the film.
Yeah, so this is the Upper River Valley Community Hall, and we've used this place as our main interior studio. We've had a bar, a hotel room, a police station and a jail. And the local Kangaroo Valley artisans came on board and really helped out in putting it all together.
It was a film full of great moments, particularly for the last few days, because we were shooting some of the more emotionally intense aspects, certain sections of the massacre scene, which was extremely challenging because it felt real. We were in this incredible natural space, and our First Nations actors bring such a history that's in their ancestors. It was like flicking a switch, and they were there and we were there, and we all felt like we were playing out this terrible, terrible piece of history, creating something for us all to look at as a nation, as a country, was so profound. And I'm so grateful for that opportunity to be with these people in this little moment in time.
There was an incredible sense of connection that we had with cast and crew. Everyone's really aware of the space and what we were doing, and the sensitivity behind it. I was really impressed how everyone stepped up in such an incredible way.
On the very same day, we had to jump in the cars, race back to the High Crown location for the final end shootout to grab the last shot of our heroes. The sun came out and it was this golden light that shone over us all.
What are we filming now? The drive away from the scene, bro. The big battle. It's just after it. We're about to drive off into the sunset. Beautiful.
There was such joy with everyone in that moment. It was so beautiful, and for a lot of our actors it was the end of their time at the film.
It's been beautiful. It's been a beautiful thing to be a part of, and a really important story, I think, in the Australian landscape, and I think it's going to ruffle a few feathers and plant a few seeds for some healing.
So to get these profound flip side of the coin experiences within the space of 6 hours, where else can you do that? The thing I've learnt about making films and making this film is something that I always knew, but it has been completely reinforced by this experience, and that is being true to yourself. Nobody on the outside will ever see it the way you see it or understand it the way you understand it. And you've got to stick to your guns and be true to that and true to yourself.
Last day on set is a bit of a bittersweet. It's like the energy's really intense.
Well, it's all over for me for the shoot. It's just such a wonderful and important production, this, and I just wish it all power. It's going to be momentous, and it's been an absolute pleasure, a challenge, some pretty tough stuff to confront here, but anyway, thank you for having me.
So I was kind of nervous about having a lead role in a feature, but I guess I've done it. I've met some amazing people that I feel super close to. I'm holding my own umbrella here. What's going on? Terrible.
It's been fantastic. My last scene coming up now. Bit of bittersweet. Love the time here, but looking forward to going home at the same time.
5 weeks working with these incredible people, crew, cast, and everyone else in between. Just beautiful people, amazing, talented, funny, awesome, like family now. You know what I mean? And I think that's going to be the saddest part, is saying see you later to a lot of them. Hopefully we'd all work together again, but oh man, what a project to be a part of, you know what I mean? I don't even have words to actually describe a lot of how I feel about this project, how I feel about everyone else, except that I love it and I love them. And I'm actually very grateful to have been a part of it and be able to finish on the last day. So, peace and love.
And cut.
Right. So, that means that was the last shot of the film, everybody!
Thank you so much for this amazing, wonderful opportunity to be able to do this. It's my first one ever doing a film, and yeah, I just hope that you all like it.
I just want to thank everybody who has been involved, most particularly Ami, who produced this film with me, who has been the most wonderful, creative, collaborative, supportive producer you could ever ask for. Our beautiful First Nations people who are the heart and soul of this film, from Guntoing, particularly Kathy Banton, who is with us on set every day, and Wendy Morgan, and Poppy Mac, Paul McLeod, and Justine, and Joe, and Vida. Just an absolute joy and honour to be able to work with them. Our post-production producers, the Gingerbread Man, Craig and Kayla, and all our incredible cast and crew, Alexis Lane, leading lady, and Shaka Cook and Dean Kerwood. Just an absolute joy to work with. I think, people are going to be blown away by what Alexis is bringing to the screen.
All in all, there is this very communal feeling. It's been a hard-working project which has sort of bonded a group of people behind the story.
Having a film that actually has a purpose and has a story to tell, I think is a little bit more interesting to do and a little bit more fulfilling. And also, you can't say no to all this family here. They're incredible people, so that's why I'm here.
Vic is awesome. I've actually had a great time working with Vic because she's it's this full collaboration where if we have an idea, she's open to it.
It was different to the other productions I've worked with because all of the cast are a lot friendlier and we're more relatable. And we just have similar personalities as well.
Yeah, pretty fun discovering that. I love that the relationship between Jara and Waru, how, she has sort of adopted the culture and learnt so much from him. And the only reason why she was even capable to be able to do the things that she was doing was because she had learnt and listened to his culture and to his tribe and the different things about the land and knowing the land and being able to learn from it as well. So that and she's not Indigenous. So that just shows if she rejected the Indigenous people as everybody else was, then there's no way that she would have been able to even pull off what she was doing, or even have the skills to be able to do what she did. That just speaks a lot about even today.
Stories like this just need to be told. That's truthful, unapologetic, and actually creating a space for just many sides, how many sides of a story can come together. I think it's time now that we actually get to see the truth and fall in love with this country even before 230 years. And I think that's one thing that we want to share with the world.
It's absolutely captivating. It's the most beautiful film I think we could have made and the period of time that we did it was absolutely incredible.
It's just going to be a knockout for the world. I really believe that this film's going to go far. It's just been an amazing journey, so yeah, I love it.
I'm absolutely passionately in love with this film. I love every frame of it. I love the whole process of how we made it together. I want to tell stories that are about our collective history, but that can kind of flip that history or rewrite that history or play with that history. This film gave the opportunity for that reimagining of how things could be. Yes, the revenge is brutal, but the redemption elements are so strong and speak about how as a country we can move forward, how we can look at our race relations with each other, that we need to look at the truth of our past, that we need to sit with each other in the reality of that. And from that place, we can move forward. And there is such strength in that unity. And I feel like this film talks about that.